Alright, so we've come to this section where we have to actually do the rating, which is the easiest section. Now the first thing we do is to choose a rating strategy. Now your rating strategy is a point-based system, the way you want to rate the ICO. Now sometimes some people like me like to choose a very simple rating strategy, which is 0 to 1. 0 to 1 means look at it, there is it's either something scores 0 or scores 0.5 or scores 1, which is either you score 0, 50% or 100%. Now some people may feel that some of the items we outlined may weigh heavy or have a heavier weight than others. For instance, if the team doesn't have a link to their LinkedIn pages, it could be of less weight compared to them not having a prototype. So if they don't have a prototype, it could be more heavy than them not having a link to their team members. You understand? So depending on the way you want to rate it, for me, I like to choose a simple rating strategy, especially for the purpose of this course. So I'll choose a 0 to 1 rating strategy, and then the category. So when it comes to the category, it's utility, and then on this column on the right, it's an advice on how to rate. So assuming you're using a 0 to 1 strategy, you can see advice here saying that if it's a utility, you give it 1. If it's a utility token, then if it's store of value, you give it 0.5. If it's dividend, you give it 0. So in this case, it's just utility. And then the next we're saying is all these details that are showing up here are the details that we filled when we were creating this ICO. You understand? So all those details are coming from the first page we filled when we were creating the ICO. And then saying type. What is the type? They said if it's infrastructure, you give it 0.5. If it's a blockchain, you give it 1. And if it's currency, you give it 0. So in this case, I'm giving it 0.5 because it's infrastructure. Now all this advice here is based on studying a whole lot of successful ICOs. So this platform, for us to build it, we have to study lots and lots of successful ICOs and see what worked for them. You understand? So this advice is well informed. So the audience, who is their product meant for? If it's an app store, then the product is meant for developers. We decided that earlier. So if it's for developers, we're giving it 1. That's 100%. Then the next one is the idea. Does the idea make sense? A mobile game distribution platform based on blockchain technology. It makes sense to me. It looks like an app store, so it's interesting. So we give it 1. If it's not interesting, you give it a 0. So here we have advisors. What are the advisors? The advisors don't seem strong to me. So remember, we checked them out. We just had only one person that did a Fortune 500. So I'm giving them a 0.5. The team has launched a successful blockchain before. So in that case, look at, they have a blockchain experience. So I'm giving them a 1. So if they have just a big company background, you give them 0.5. If their team is has no related experience in this, to give them 0. So I'm giving them a 1 because they launched a successful blockchain. So what's their real world counterpart? That's a Google Play Store. So it makes sense to me. If their real world counterpart is a unicorn, then you give them a 1. So in this case, Google is a unicorn, so I'm giving them a 1. But if it's below 1 billion, you give them a 0.5. If they don't have an already existing counterpart, then there's a problem. You can give them a 0. So how many followers do they have on their Telegram? 70,000. And here, if they have over 20,000, you give them 1. If they have if they have 5,000 plus, you give them 0.5. In this case, 70,000 is over 20,000, so we give them a 1. Here, if they have above 5,000 but below 10,000, you give them a 0.5 on Twitter followers. So I'm giving them 0.5 on their Twitter followers. Discord, we weren't able to see anything on their Discord. So Discord is the only optional field. Now what happens in this rating field is that if you miss any field, your rating will not add to the community rating, and it will tell you here that your rating is incomplete if you miss any field except the Discord field. So this field is the only optional field. So Facebook followers is 0 because it's less than 5,000. So I'm setting 0. They have very few Facebook followers. Then media mentions. So they have, yes, very huge media mentions. So they said if they have top known media like Forbes, you should give them a 1. So I'm giving them a 1 because they have top known media. Alright, then the next one is prototype. If they have a prototype, no prototype, so I'm giving them a 0. ICO price. Now, if their ICO price is 0.3, then it makes sense. But if it is below, then it will give them a 0.5. So it's below 0.3, so I'm giving them a 0.5. So if it is above 1, then we'll give them a 0. So their ICO price is around 0.06, so we're giving them a 0.5. Tokens available for their ICO. If the tokens available for their ICO is above 60%, so I think this is mixed up here, but the thing is, it's supposed to be if the tokens available for their ICO is somewhere around 30%, then it's good. I think this is good. I'm giving them a 1. The next one is total number of tokens produced. Now it's telling you that if they produce 100 million tokens, then it's the perfect number, so we'll give them a 1. If it's between 100 million and 200 million, we'll give them a 0.5. But if it's below or above, we're giving them what? A 0. So this one is 1 billion. We're giving them a 0. Total token supply in percentage. So if it's between 70% and 75%, then it makes sense. So I'm giving them a 1 because it's 70%. Now white paper, they have, I read through their white paper. I didn't show you guys. I think I showed you when we were scanning through something. If the white paper is well written and correctly communicates its idea, then it's a 1. I think yes, they communicate the idea. Then if it's if there are typographic errors, you give them 0.5. If there's no white paper, it's 0. Bad omen. Don't even invest if there's no white paper. Then if they're making bogus promises, some ICOs make big bogus promises. They will tell you that our ICO will increase by 10% every day. You pay us XYZ. Then at the end of the year, we pay you exactly. So if they promise you an exact percentage of payback, then it's a Ponzi. You understand? If they promise to build a super whatever AI system that can move the world out of orbit and stuff, if they make bogus claims, then we give them 0.5. If it's a Ponzi, if they promise any certain amount that they must pay you back, then it's a Ponzi. If they tell you that they pay you X percent, so look at the example of the language used by Ponzi ICOs. They tell you you'll get X amount if you invest Y amount. You see, it's a Ponzi. Another type of Ponzi is we'll guarantee you 1% increase per month. Once you see any percent increase, guaranteed, it's a Ponzi. So in this case, they didn't make any such claim, so I'm going to give them a 1. So there we have 1. And then, of course, here is where you put all the comments you need to put in. So I'm going to click submit. Guess what? They scored 65% from our rating. So, and it's the algorithm estimated that they're going to eventually end up, this coin will multiply at least 64 times in its first year. You get what I'm saying? So that is an estimate that this coin will multiply 64 times in its first year, and the community rating is 65%. So now we have a good idea, a very intelligent system that has put us through, telling us that, hey, look guys, this looks like a good ICO to me. 64% is somewhere good. A superstar ICO would be above 70 or 75. Do you get what I'm saying? So, but this one around 64 looks fairly good to me. So what do you guys think? So now this platform has helped us to identify the weaknesses and the strengths of this ICO, and at the end of the day, we were able to get a better rating. So in this case, if they had had a prototype, where did we have it? We have a prototype somewhere. Prototype URL. If they had a prototype, it would have drastically increased their rating and put it into the 70s. You understand? And that's the kind of ICOs I like to jump in. ICOs that are 70, above 70%, I like to go in straight up. I don't even ask any further questions. So once I rate an ICO, it scores above 70, then we have a good, a great ICO there. So in this case, this ICO looks good to me. If you want to invest, this is a kind of ICO I would like to go into too, but not very bigly, but I'll go into the ICO to an extent. So thank you very much. I hope this made sense to you at the end of the day. All right.